Hello, how are we all? Hope we're doing well and hope this live stream comes across okay. It's not been smooth runnings the last couple of lives that I've done, but hopefully this one works. Today, I wanted to jump in and actually talk about circular economy. And while we get settled, I just want to make sure we're doing well. We're getting into all the places. If you are jumping in live with me, say hello. Tell me where you're from and what do you do in the sustainability space or in general, not just friends with people who are in the sustainability space, but it's my passion and I'm always curious to know what you're doing. And really, if we're being real, sustainability impacts every part of our life, our business, our economy, our society, really every single thing. So ultimately, you probably are working in some way, shape, or form related to sustainability and hopefully the betterment of humanity and our existence and our reducing our impact really on the environment. So, anyways, that aside, today we're going to talk about the circular economy, and I just wanted to share my screen. So, give me a moment while I get to do that. And really, just to summate, what is the circular economy about? It's really a concept that is about reducing waste and maximizing resources so that we can not only regenerate our environment so that we're drawing less on the environment, therefore regenerating it, but that we can also distribute resources and wealth. And really, when I think of the circular economy, it ties in for donut economic principles, where it really is about regeneration and distribution. So yeah, hi Kishore, how are you? Thanks for joining the live. Let us know where you're dialing in from. So for some reason, the computer is slow today, but I got into this space. Like ultimately, I was always moving into this space for the last 14 years or so, and really, this is such an important topic for me because what I love about the circular economy is, hey Siam, it tends to bring in sustainable and low impact principles of being and existence and growth, business growth, economic growth, while also considering our impact on the environment. And I think that's why it's a really great concept and I'm really passionate about it. So if you can share if you can see the screen, actually, I think you can, that's great. I'm glad to know it. So this is kind of a more technical definition of what a circular economy is. And it isn't just about waste minimization. It's a lot more complex than that, but it follows waste management principles when we are looking at waste in particular. And it really is about following a hierarchy of thinking, but also thinking about things in complex system type ways. And so it isn't a simple solution because we are looking at all of the micro production lines, so to speak, or life cycles of products or services or systems, and how each of these have their own impacts within themselves, but how they also interact with each other and impact the overall system, whether locally, nationally, globally. So it is really systems-based thinking, and it is quite holistic. So this is the model of a circular economy. If you haven't seen this one before, it's a really great model. It's called the butterfly model, and Ellen MacArthur Foundation are the ones that really founded this concept. And Dame Ellen MacArthur, who came up with this concept really with her team, is well renowned in the circular economy space. So make sure you go check out their website and what they do if you're interested in exploring this space further. But as you can see, sort of this model to the right, we're looking at, you could say, inorganic sort of systems. So things like products and items, food. Well, not food, of course, is organic, certain foods. But what I mean by inorganic is it's more around that manufacturing side of things, man-made systems where we are, creating technology, making tools, making products, making infrastructure, building infrastructure, and so on. And so that's what this right side of the butterfly is, the blue side. And towards the left, what we're seeing is the biological side or the more organic side of things. And so what we're sort of aiming to do is improve the efficiency and proficiency and integration of the right side and reduce the waste that is produced by reusing products, reusing items, and not throwing them straight to landfill. And what that means is there's a lower draw on natural resources in the environment. And so the left side, the green side, starts to regenerate as a result of us drawing less on the environment and potentially even using some of these byproducts from the right side as regenerative um, items, like maybe some byproduct from cotton production, which cotton is a natural product, but some kind of byproduct from it can help with the growth of or the rehabilitation of certain types of trees. I'm just making it up, but you see my point is they're quite integrated. But here in this model, we're really just trying to show how the right side, which is the sort of inorganic man-made systems and products and services and items and infrastructure and so on, how we can make this circular while also regenerating the right side, which is the natural ecosystem. And I mentioned donut economics before, and the reason I mentioned it is, for me, really that when people say circular economy these days, or at the very least when I say circular economy, I'm always sort of referring to the two economic principles. And I know that circular economy was really coined first and donut economy kind of came out later on, which is a concept that was developed by Kate Raworth. So you can look up her work as well. And the reason that I bring the two together is that the circular economy is a micro principle. It's a microeconomic principle. So it's really looking at microsystems of operation and subparts of the global system, whereas the donut economic model looks at the macro level. The macro level and how the global ecosystem really, if we break past these ecological barriers, can start to break down if we are not careful. So if we're not careful in creating a safe space for humanity where all of the resources and materials are part of a regenerative distributive system where everybody has equity, then we start to impact these ecological systems at a macro scale. So as you can see, they tie in with each other. It's just that one is at a micro level, one is at a macro level. But ultimately, they both want the same thing, which is that we are creating systems, or we're changing systems to become more regenerative, where we're reusing and reducing waste and maximizing resources. And we're distributing resources across our communities, and that everybody has equitable access to things like food and energy and water and healthcare systems, housing, all of those things, right? So this is why the two principles really just go hand in hand for me. And as I think I really captured it here in the notes, I was going to read some of these points, but really I've sort of said all of this, that we want ultimately to move to a more equitable society. And I mean, really, who doesn't want that, right? If we're wanting to make the world better after all of the impact that we've had, especially through the industrialization phase since, the mid 1900s, that now we need to not only look at regenerating our environment, but also regenerating our social systems which have really kind of depleted, or in some areas even have been decimated because of this kind of aggressive commercial growth. And so, yeah, I think that this is an ethical issue. And thankfully, from a business perspective, that this is also value for business. This is an economic model. So I think that it brings together some really great ideas to ultimately help us have a better, more harmonious existence. So really, these are some of the key principles of the circular economy. I'm just going to read them out. So we're wanting to design out waste and pollution, right? Less waste, less pollution, keep more products and materials in continuous use, or at the very least for as long as possible until they are absolutely depleted, regenerate our natural systems, prioritize the use of sustainable materials and sustainable designs and circular thinking, so circular design models, collaborate and innovate with even your competitors, and create a more closed loop system so that there's no waste coming out of the system, because typically we have followed linear models where we take something from the earth. Ultimately, we're taking all waste from the earth and we're making something with it, using it, and then disposing it, to put it simply. And so when you create a closed loop model, that's no longer happening. That the end use of that particular product then becomes the starting point for a new product or a new life cycle of some sort, whether that's in the same type of category or in a different, because sometimes plastic containers and their end use or byproducts may be used in a completely different industry. So thinking about those closed loop systems is really important, and networking those systems as well is really important. So that leads to the next point, which is really, it's about systems-based thinking and looking at the entire life cycle of products, materials, and then creating economic opportunities really through these new business models, because it creates value in your business model. So this is what I mean, that the circular economy is a great concept, because it isn't just about doing the right thing, reducing your impact on the environment, improving people's livelihoods, but it's also about improving the economic value through your business by creating new value chains. And it also, as all sort of sustainable concepts do generally, builds resilience into your business and reduces risk. So, who doesn't want that? Lower risk profile is always good. So yes, creating new economic opportunities, that's another really great thing about the circular economy. And finally, we're focusing on reducing environmental impact and improving the sustainability on every industry. And it's really applicable to every industry. It's not just manufacturing, where it's products-based offerings, but also service-based offerings. So we can apply this thinking to every industry. It's just a matter of collaborating and engaging with the expertise if it's not already in your business. But I always say that it's important to collaborate with external expertise regardless of the skill set you have in your business, because it brings in new perspective, it brings in new culture and unbiased or non-biased way of thinking. So that's what I wanted to leave you with on that last point. And finally, I just wanted to talk to you about what is happening around the world. So there are circular economic models being implemented all around the world. And I am going to stop sharing only because I want to talk to you more directly now, and talk to you about these these circular economic models and what's really happening around the world. Because in countries this slow, we know that Europe, as always, is doing some great things in this space, and they're taking progressive action all the time. So many European countries have actually already taken some really big steps in this space. And some of the ones to name would of course be countries like London, Amsterdam. They have adopted circular models in various ways. Now, London, for example, has something that they call circular food, and really it's a food flagship initiative. And the idea is, how can we improve the food system so that it's fit for future? It allows nature, people to thrive, right? And the vision of this is about reimagining food, because for so long we've never really connected with our food. It's come on our plate and we eat it. We don't think about where it came from. We don't think about how it's going to be disposed of and what's going to happen with it and how it's going to impact the environment. But really, this is about reimagining food system and about how the food is actually produced, how it's consumed, and aim towards it never being wasted. That food is always for purpose, which is the purpose of giving us nutrition. And so there are 3 points that London's circular food vision is really built on. And one is that food is sourced through, really agroecological practices. So to put it simply, it's basically eco-friendly agriculture, eco-friendly farming practices, and also locally, of course, wherever possible, because you want to avoid all of that travel that would normally happen with certain food items. The second is, how can we prioritize health and sustainable food items on the menu? So when I think about sustainable food, I often think the product, the list of ingredients in the product should always be 5 or less. And that always to me feels like, okay, it's quite a minimalistic, more naturally made food item. Of course, that can't be said for every food item that's 5 ingredients or less. I'm not talking about a packet of chips that's chips and salt and oil and a couple of flavorings. I'm really talking about, if you get some sort of cooking paste of some sort, maybe Thai red curry, whatever you like, and the number of ingredients on there is 5 or less, and it usually, and that's an option there for you. And I know that buying healthy and buying organic can also be quite costly at times, and especially in certain places. But these sorts of models, I would hope, aim to improve the availability of these sorts of products to everybody, and that everybody has access to these sorts of products, that you don't have to have lots of money to be able to afford good, healthy, sustainable food options or sustainable clothing options or anything for that matter. So back to the London circular food model. The third thing is, where can they avoid food waste, and eliminate food waste, really, and look at kind of recycling things back into more productive uses. So it's a really great model, and there are, as I said, lots of countries adopting circular thinking, like Glasgow, who have a carbon neutral city, and decarbonisation is definitely connected to circular thinking, and which is why I always, when people ask, what about decarbonisation? What about ESG? What about CSR? Blah, blah, blah. There's so many words, right? But the thing is, they are all connected. They're all overlapping with each other in some way. Yes, they're different concepts, if you put them in their true definition, but there's a lot of overlapping thinking across these models. So another country to shout out to, or at least a state in this country. So in Andhra Pradesh, which is in India, there's community managed natural farming, which is happening. And so actually India has a really big movement around agroecological practices, and really they've been doing this for a long time, looking at how can they make their food more natural, reduce soil degradation, improve biodiversity, so reduce the loss of biodiversity, really, and improve the quality of the food, and lower the pesticides and genetic modifications or anything like that. So really great to see that countries of all scales and of all economies are adopting circular thinking. Chile as well has a circular roadmap, so I want to shout out to them and touch on their 7 principles that they have addressed in this circular roadmap, which is back to my point earlier that circular economy, sustainability, all of these things, they're connected and they're so holistic. So in Chile's circular roadmap, they're looking at creating green jobs, looking at municipal waste. These are just the pillars, so I'm not going into the details of it, but green jobs, municipal waste, waste generation, productivity, recycling, solid waste recycling, and illegal landfills, because that is an issue that they face over there. So it's really great to see that there are so many countries and, as I said, so many economies across various parts of the world, various scales, various sizes, that are doing things towards a circular economy, doing things towards decarbonization and becoming more sustainable. So it's inspiring to see, and I'm really happy to share this information with you. I do hope that you found this valuable. My thoughts are that these sessions are going to start having some people joining along the way, and talking with me for this half an hour or so, and we'll talk about topics that are of relevance, that we feel are of relevance to the market. But if there's a topic that you think you'd be really interested in, always let me know. Feel free to let me know. drop a comment, whatever it is, and we'll definitely consider it. And so thank you for being here today. Have a wonderful day and talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody. Take care. And while I figure out how to end this live, because as I said, the going live has been an interesting journey. Take care all. Bye.